Now we are going to start our new chapter, that is magnetism and matter. In the previous chapter we have dealt with magnetism, but there we found that a current carrying conductor produces magnetism, and we learned different facts regarding to that magnetism. But in this chapter we are going to deal with magnetism as such. The word magnetism is derived from the name of an island in Greece called Magnesia. It was in 600 BC that the shepherds in this island found their wooden shoes with nails, and also the iron-tipped rods got stuck to the ground, and this happened because of the magnetic ore present in the ground. The attractive property of these magnets made it difficult for them to move around. Thus happened the discovery of magnetism. The naturally occurring magnetic ore is named as lodestone, and in the ancient time itself the directional property of magnets were known. What is meant by directional property of magnet? If a thin long piece of magnet is suspended freely in air, it will always point to north-south direction. That is, magnets show directional property. Now we have to deal with the common ideas regarding magnetism that we have already learned. Let us go through a few of them. You might have heard that our earth behaves like a magnet, and the magnetic field of earth is pointing from geographic south to north. That is, the magnetic field produced by the earth moves from geographic south to geographic north. The detailed explanation of this point we will be having in our coming topics. As we told that magnet has the directional property, so a freely suspended bar magnet points in north-south direction, and the tip that is towards geographic north will be the north pole of our magnet, and the tip that is pointing towards the geographic south will be south pole of our magnet. And there is an attractive and repulsive force between the poles of magnets. Like poles of the magnet repel, whereas unlike poles attract. That is, north and north or south and south repels, whereas north-south poles attract each other. And another important property regarding magnetism is that magnetic monopole does not exist. That is, we can never get a north pole alone or a south pole alone. Suppose we are having a bar magnet and we are breaking it at its center. Then also at the point where it is broken, it becomes a new magnet. That is, the end where it was broken will become automatically the other pole. So here the end of the north pole side becomes south pole, whereas the end of the south pole side becomes north pole. Thus two new magnets we obtain. Therefore we can never separate a north pole or a south pole alone, and thus magnetic monopole does not exist. And we can create magnets out of iron and its alloys. So these are the common ideas regarding magnetism. And now we are going to see a comparison between bar magnet and solenoid. You might have already learned that a current carrying solenoid produces magnetic field, and the pattern of magnetic field produced by a solenoid is similar to the bar magnet. That is, a solenoid behaves like a bar magnet. Now we will see the properties of magnetic field lines. We know that the magnetic field lines are continuous closed loops. Unlike the electric fields, which are straight lines, the magnetic field lines are continuous closed loops. And to get the direction of the magnetic field at a particular point, what we do is that we draw a tangent at that point. Drawing tangent to the field, to the curved field, gives the direction of the magnetic field. And the strength of the magnetic field is obtained based on the number of field lines present. Larger the number of field lines crossing per unit area, stronger will be the magnitude of magnetic field. Also, another important point is that no two magnetic field will ever intersect. If they do, then we will have two directions for the field at the point of intersection, which is not possible. So these are the important properties of magnetic field lines. Now we are going to deal with Gauss's law in magnetism. In electrostatics, you have already learned the Gauss's law, and there you saw that Gauss's law gives the flux through a closed surface. And we found there that the electric flux produced through a closed surface is equivalent to 1 by epsilon times of the charge enclosed by that surface. That is, closed integral E dot ds is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. And here the closed integral E dot ds is the electric flux. And here also under the Gauss's law we will be dealing with the magnetic flux. And according to Gauss's law in magnetism, the electric flux through a closed surface, that is closed integral B dot ds, is 0. As we know, the magnetic field lines are continuous closed loops. Even if we consider a uniform magnetic field area and we take a small area element delta S, we can see that the magnetic field entering to this surface will be equal to the magnetic field coming out of this surface, since they are closed loop. This is the reason why the magnetic flux through a closed surface becomes 0. That is, we can see equal amount of magnetic field coming out of the surface as well as coming into the surface. That makes the net magnetic field through this surface to be 0, and thus making the flux to be 0. While we apply Gauss's law in electrostatics, we have a charge, and due to that charge we are finding the flux. And while we consider a delta S area element, we can see that we are having only field lines that are coming out of this charge. If the charge was minus Q, then we will be having field lines entering to this area. But in the place of this charge, coming to magnetism, we are having a magnet. And we know that no magnetic monopoles exist, so we will be having both north pole and south pole, and the field line will be always continuous closed loops. And due to that, under the element area that we consider, we will be having equal amount of field lines entering to this element area and coming out of this element area. Therefore, the net magnetic field within this area element will be 0. But that is not the case for the electrostatics. The only reason is we have electric monopoles plus Q charge or minus Q charge separately, whereas in magnetostatics we can never have a single pole, that is a monopole, or a north pole alone or a south pole alone. So the main reason for getting the magnetic flux to be 0 is that magnetic monopoles does not exist. And due to magnetic monopoles does not exist, we have the magnetic flux, that is closed integral B dot ds, to be 0, and that is the Gauss's law in magnetism. So the Gauss's law in magnetism states that the magnetic flux through any closed surface is 0. The Earth's magnetism. Our Earth has a magnetism of its own. Suppose we are placing a bar magnet, freely suspending it in an external magnetic field, then this bar magnet will experience a torque, and due to that torque it aligns in the direction of the external magnetic field itself. So this is how a bar magnet will behave in an external magnetic field. And we also know that when we simply suspend freely a bar magnet in air, it automatically gets aligned in a particular direction due to its directional property that we have already discussed. So if we can see that a freely suspended bar magnet in air gets aligned in a particular direction, then definitely it is placed in an external magnetic field. And that magnetic field is the magnetism of our Earth. Now, on discussing about the reason behind this Earth's magnetism, There were various ideas put forward, but the accepted reason is the dynamo effect of Earth's core. What dynamo effect explains is the outer core of Earth consists of metallic fluids that includes iron and nickel in its molten state at high temperature, and the electric current produced by these metallic fluid causes magnetic field inside Earth. So that is what dynamo effect explains. We have understood that there is a magnetic effect inside Earth, and let us imagine that to be a magnetic dipole or a bar magnet. And when we analyze the magnetism of Earth, consider the magnetism inside as the magnetism produced by a bar magnet, then we can see that the axis of our dipole is not coinciding with the axis of rotation of Earth. We know that our Earth is in a rotation about the axis of rotation, but when we analyze the magnetism of Earth, we can see that the axis of Earth magnetic dipole is not coinciding with the axis of rotation of Earth. When we analyze geographically, we know that the axis of rotation determines the north pole and south pole of our Earth. That is, let us call it as geographical north and geographical south. So, the both ends of the axis of rotation are the geographical north and geographical south of our Earth. But we can see that the axis of the magnetic dipole of our Earth is not coinciding with the geographical north and geographical south, and we can find another axis which is the magnetic axis, and the ends of that axis is called as magnetic north pole and magnetic south pole. So the Earth is having geographical north pole and geographical south pole, as well as magnetic north pole and magnetic south pole. We have to understand the clear distinction between these terms. Geographical north pole and geographical south pole are the poles of Earth associated with the axis of rotation, whereas magnetic north pole and magnetic south pole are the poles associated with the magnetic dipole axis of Earth. And it is found that these two axes have a difference of 11.3 degree. That is, the magnetic north pole and the geographical north pole are making an angle of 11.3 degree between them. Now if we analyze the location of magnetic poles, which is magnetic north pole and magnetic south pole, we can see that the north magnetic pole is located at a latitude of 79.4 degree north and longitude of 71.8 degree west. And the south magnetic pole is located at latitude of 79.74 degree north and longitude of 108.22 degree east, which is at Antarctica. So this is all about the magnetic axis as well as geographical axis of Earth, and the reason behind Earth's magnetism, and also the location of the magnetic poles. Now there is an important fact regarding Earth's magnetism. We know that we use a compass to get the direction, and we recognize the north pole by seeing the needle inside the compass. And we have also studied that there is a magnet itself inside a compass. So if a compass is showing north, that means that it is attracted to the south. This is about the confusion of the term that we use while saying the direction of Earth. Though we call it as a north pole, we can clearly see that it is not the north pole of the magnet inside the Earth, because compass shows north pole means that side is the south pole of the magnet. So the magnet inside our Earth, which is represented by a bar magnet here, has the poles which is opposite to the poles of Earth. This is just a confusion regarding the nomenclature of the poles of Earth, but geographically we call these poles as North Pole and South Pole, and also using a magnet we find the direction and we call it as the North Pole or the South Pole based on the direction. But as a physics student, for us it is very much clear that though we are calling this end as the north, the magnet inside the earth is having its south pole at the north pole of earth. I hope the confusion regarding the nomenclature is clear. It is just that though we usually call the ends as north pole and south pole based on the direction shown by a compass, as a physics student, for us it is very much clear that the magnet inside the earth is having the opposite poles. So from this diagram we can see that the direction based on the compass is represented and that is used in our common language, but the magnet that is inside the earth is having the opposite poles. And it is also found that the strength of Earth's magnetism is of the order of 10⁻⁵ Tesla.